Hello, I'm doing another movie review. I'm joined once again by, what's her name again?
Longlegs. It's Cara.
Longlegs.
Hi.
The movie we want to review is the 2024 crime drama / supernatural horror film, Longlegs.
Now, Longlegs was written and directed by Osgood Perkins, who prior to this directed movies like The Blackcoat's Daughter and Gretel and Hansel, and would go on to direct the Stephen King adaptation, The Monkey, which came out earlier this year, and he's also directing the upcoming film Keeper. He's also the son of actor Anthony Perkins, who is probably best known for playing Norman Bates in Alfred Hitchcock's Psycho.
Never saw Psycho, actually.
Oh, you never saw Psycho?
No, there's a lot of classics I haven't seen, so that's on the list because I unfortunately know the twist, but yeah, it's still very, very iconic.
So the plot of Longlegs is it's set in the early 1990s, and we follow a young FBI agent named Lee Harker, who seems to have an almost supernatural sense of perception. But she's tasked with solving a series of murders and suicides that date back to the 1960s. Now, in each case, the father in a family would murder his entire family and then kill himself. But what connects all these crimes is at each crime scene, there was a note signed Longlegs, leaving the FBI to believe that somebody or something is causing these fathers to kill their families.
And as Lee digs deeper and deeper into this case, she discovers that this Longlegs is much more than a mere serial killer and may in fact be receiving his powers from a force beyond our world.
But she also discovers a dark secret about her own family and a connection between Longlegs and her childhood. The film stars Maika Monroe as Lee Harker, Alicia Witt as Lee's mother,
Blair Underwood as Agent Carter, Lee's superior at the FBI. You also have Kiernan Shipka, if I'm saying her name right, in a very small role,
and Nicolas Cage as the titular Longlegs,
who basically plays Longlegs as a cross between Charles Manson and the Joker.
Now, Longlegs certainly owes a lot to serial killer dramas like Manhunter and The Silence of the Lambs, as well as supernatural horror films like Rosemary's Baby, Angel Heart, and even The Conjuring to a certain degree. But a movie that I also think definitely had an influence on Longlegs, so much so that Longlegs has even been accused of being plagiaristic of this film, is the 1997 Japanese horror crime drama film Cure. That movie also deals with a serial killer who seems to be causing people to commit crimes for him.
Be warned, there will be spoilers in this review.
So what do you think of Longlegs?
Oh, man. Second rewatch, because the first time I fell asleep. I retained a lot more than this time around. I had a lot of fun with it, and it was scary. I told you that if this happened in real life, it would be absolutely terrifying. There's a level of fun to it, a level of campiness, but there are some scary concepts in here. A lot of supernatural stuff that I love. I really liked it. I loved it the second rewatch because all of it made more sense. At first when I watched it, it didn't feel cohesive to me, but I fell asleep. I tend to do that. So this time around, it was really consistent. It all made sense. I could tell where it was going, and it felt very unnerving. It's a really chilling forensics tale, and then it gets into their themes on women's intuition, and like there's no logical proof for like a lot of hunches she has, and I love that aspect because that ties into the supernatural, the mystery. Things are too known now, and it's when it's mysterious, it's scary, so nobody could explain her understanding, although she's a smart character. So it was really interesting to follow her process. I liked her as a character. She was pretty flat, but also there's a reason for that why she's so kind of even keel to the point of being numb. I had a lot of fun with this. I liked it. And it's spooky. There's a lot of spooky imagery in it, too.
What I liked about, Maika Monroe's character of Lee Harker is, she plays this character almost as if she's on the spectrum.
Exactly. That's what I got from it, too.
She could be autistic, but if we consider who her mother is and how she was raised, that might also explain a lot, too, of why she's so socially awkward. And
there's a whole big theme with, remembering things, and I'll leave it at that for now, but, yeah, it explains her flat demeanor, as well as, yeah, she could definitely be autistic coded, autism coded on the spectrum, which made her going into this profession really interesting. It's very clinical, logical, but then she has these otherworldly hunches that her boss can't explain. It's like, we can't, and her partner, right? We can't go in on this house based on a hunch, but they do, and it's, I love that, because, again, there's too much in films and in society, to me, that is very, like, clinical, out in the open, and sometimes we need to explore the darker parts that are hidden, that are unexplainable. That's what makes things interesting and appealing, so to follow this whole journey was really cool. I had a lot of fun with it.
Yeah, no, so did I. And Nicolas Cage as Longlegs. I will say, like, when I first saw the movie, because I actually saw this 3 times in the theater when it came out. I saw it once by myself, then I saw it again with my friend Chris and his brother, and then I saw it with you and Jason and Joey. And when I first saw the movie, I thought his performance was a little too campy for the tone they were going for, because for the most part it's a very grim, very, like, serious tone, and I thought he was kind of comical at first. But when I saw it again, I was like, you know what? This works.
I agree.
Works. And as you said, like...
It would be terrifying in person.
Yeah, it would be like fucking... If you look at, like, interviews with, like, Charles Manson, if you really think about it, if you just forget about what he did for a second... It's fucking ridiculous, some of those videos of Charles Manson. But at the same time, when you consider what this guy did, it makes it more chilling.
Oh yeah, there's a difference between your friend having a very interesting inebriated trip and doing crazy stuff, and then a person that's done deplorable things and ran a ring of some sort and, like, blah, 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 like, is very unhinged. And to see that in real life, especially when you're a child or just a mother, right? Like, the worry about a mother and protecting your kid from anything, especially wackadoos that come up to kids. Yeah, very unsettling. But when I first saw this with you, my first time with this, I was like, oh wow, this is crazy. And then only after, like in Nosferatu, when I found out post-movie it was Bill Skarsgård, I was thrown off. Like, post-movie I found out this was Nick Cage, and I'm like, oh, that makes sense. Yeah. But he was so utilized here. It was such a great fit, because it was like the funny and unnerving line that is so fun and so it's great to see when it's done, executed, like, used to the best of its advantage. Like when he's unhinged in the car, or when he's unhinged at the final part. What's also coming to me now, a little off topic, but, like, Longlegs, the name, he mentions it very early in the film, like, I didn't wear my long legs today. I didn't catch that the first time we watched it, because I usually like subtitles and prefer them, but on this rewatch, I'm like, okay, what do I associate with Longlegs? Daddy Longlegs. And that motif comes up a lot, and the father ends up, you know, being the catalyst of, like, eliminating all these families. So that is probably a very deliberate choice.
He also makes a reference at the end, and this is getting into spoilers now, but basically in the movie we find out that he gets his powers from Satan. He's basically the devil's right-hand man, and, like, he does make a reference at the end to father, and I think he's referring to the devil at that point, like, as his father.
Yes. He says the man downstairs, but then he also says, right, his father, right? Not the good father, the bad father.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's a very interesting dynamic to play with. You've always been really into the angel and devil stories, and it's fun to see that dynamic of just pure good and pure evil and stuff. Another thing I caught in this that I really enjoyed on this viewing, that it makes me love the film even more, was everything that Longlegs was saying was so deliberate. It was a scheme, right? He's got a purpose, and then we see in the very beginning, the girl's got a white house, snow. What's the meaning behind that? What do we associate with that? Purity, right? White is untouched, clean. So then a lot of these families' houses have a crucifix in it, and then Longlegs talks about, you know, the symbolism. He just talks about white, like whiter than a fish's throat, and, like, really strange. He's trying to infiltrate these really pure houses that believe in a higher power and infiltrate them with his father. So that was really cool to notice on this watch. That made it even more spooky for me, because people are really this religious in real life and really this spiritual. So watch out there, you know? It's there's a lot of symbolism and stuff, so it was so utilized. It was really, really fun to watch this time around.
And throughout the movie, you do see the devil in silhouette, and it's honestly genuinely creepy in some shots, because there are moments in the movie that you might miss the first time you see it. Like, there was one shot I noticed rewatching it now, where you see the devil in the background as Lee leaves a room, and it's, like, genuinely pretty creepy. Now, it is the whole Baphomet version of the devil, which I'm not crazy about, just because I know the Baphomet was originally a whole separate deity that Christians have sort of reinterpreted as being Satan. And I know the whole image of the Baphomet has been used in actual Satanism. I just think it's a little overused.
Unfortunately, horns are very cool looking, and they make for a really good silhouette. So
Yeah.
that was effective for me. It was spooky. When you pointed it out somewhere, you saw it, and I missed it on the first watch, and it was very like, ugh.
And while I don't mind the whole image of demons with horns and a pitchfork and pointed tails, like, that's really fun in, like, old movies, I almost wish this movie went for a more original interpretation of Lucifer.
Maybe it was playing on the whole, like, satanic panic that was
Oh, yeah.
the
yeah.
runoff of, like, where you imagine horns and red eyes and stuff.
Yeah.
Right, at least it wasn't a big red guy.
Yeah.
But I know what you mean. Brad Pitt, right? Was that him, where he did a really unique portrayal of the devil?
Brad Pitt. Are you thinking of Meet Joe Black?
Where he's blonde and then he speaks like patois to that one woman.
Oh, yeah, he plays the Angel of Death in that.
Oh, okay, so
Yeah.
is that the Angel of Death? So that's different than the devil.
Yeah, that's... Before I saw the movie, I wasn't sure if... Because the way the previews made it look... It was promoted as like a Silence of the Lambs-esque serial killer drama with possibly a supernatural undercurrent, but I wasn't sure if the movie was going to go full supernatural or not.
You saw the trailer, I didn't. Okay.
I don't know if you ever saw True Detective. It was an HBO series.
I heard it was on when I was growing up for a long time, but never saw it.
Yeah, the first season has sort of a supernatural undercurrent, but that's only because the killer kind of believes in that stuff.
Gotcha.
But it's like done in a way where it could be supernatural, or it could just be in the killer's head. That's almost how I thought this was going to go, so that outright do, like, the whole devil angle. Again, I did not mind it at all, because I'm a sucker for this kind of stuff, but I know there are a lot of people who were really disappointed by that aspect of the movie.
I can understand why people would be disappointed. Trailers, I don't watch anymore unless they're shoved in my face through a movie watching with friends, because they hide things on purpose, they want to leave some air of mystery, or they give away too much. So it's really not a happy medium. But, yeah, if you're expecting something, you're like, oh, I want to see it for the crime aspect, and then boom, there's Satan. You're not going into it with the reasons you were hoping for.
You have preferred, like, it be Satan, or do something like what Hereditary did, where instead of, like, worshiping Satan in that movie, they worshipped, like, Paimon, which is a demon from mythology, but it's not Satan himself. Like, would you have preferred something like that?
That's a really good question, because Hereditary was, for me, I'd never seen anything like it. It was so subversive. If Paimon is that powerful, what on earth is the king of the demons like? And this was kind of a small-town, suburban version of Satan, which was cool. But Hereditary really set the bar in the sense of, oh my god, that's one king of hell?
Yeah.
What's the king like? So, yeah, if they said it was... Here I go. If they said it was like Asmodeus or any one of those crazy names, you'd be like, huh? That's... There's more?
Now, I already mentioned the influence that other serial killer films and other satanic horror films may have had on this movie, but another fun little reference I picked up on in this movie, in the movie Longlegs makes these dolls that resemble the daughters in the families that he targets, and he puts a little bit of his soul, or the soul of Satan, inside these dolls, and that's what causes the families to go crazy. But you find out inside the heads of these dolls are these metal balls, and I'm like, okay, that had to be a Phantasm reference.
Maybe we should get into Lee's mother in the movie.
Yes.
So, like...
Yes, that was a cool build-up. Really
yeah,
cool
so
build-up.
in the movie, in case you haven't seen it, spoiler, we find out that Lee's mother is working with Longlegs.
And the man downstairs.
Yeah. Basically, the idea was, like, Longlegs visited Lee when she was only 9 years old and, like, gave the mother a choice. I could kill you and your daughter, or you could work with me.
And live. Either way, you were saying, damned if you do, damned if you don't.
Yeah.
Pretty much. Not a fun deal working with that, but... Yeah.
Like, it makes you feel sympathy for the mother, even though she ends up being, like, the secondary antagonist of the film. But at the same time, there's also the implication maybe there was a choice, she just didn't know it. Or I almost feel there could have been a way she could have gotten out of this, but
that's the heartbreaking part.
She chose this path, you know?
Right.
And, like, in a way, she made sort of a Faustian deal with Longlegs.
Yes.
Yeah.
The best kind of deal. Mm-hmm. Infamous deal, you know? That's the one that's most talked about in history, a deal with the devil. So, yeah, this was a good deal with the devil movie because there's, like, no happy end in sight. There's no way out of it. There is always a choice. But that character was really compelling because you think she's just kind of a hoarder mom with amnesia, and then you see it all build up, and that felt really natural. Like, the Satan thing at first smacked me out of nowhere, but then I see, like, or she was there as a thread the whole time, and that was a really interesting twist. It's really your own sometimes. You don't know who you can trust. It plants that fear in people with movies like this. You're like, oh, it's coming from inside the house. Like, you're not safe here. So, or your neighbors. Who can you trust? I liked that it also played with, a mother's love. Like, she was doing this for her daughter, otherwise they'd both die. So she was doing heinous acts so that her daughter could always be alive. And the mom checked in frequently saying, like, have you done your prayers? Have you done your prayers? Because that was almost like the mom's way out. Like, even though she was working for the worst force possible, she's, like, trying to subconsciously tell her, please protect yourself. And the daughter's like, I don't believe in that. And then the mom's like, oh, good. Here we go. Satan has a thing for infiltrating families using daughters, and that was really interesting symbolism because the father is ruining the family dynamic, and the daughter who's innocent, like, taking in a doll, like a clone. Like, there's always that thing about doppelgangers being creepy, or like a twin, and there's the horror thing about dolls, just bad news, right? But it's almost like twisting it, like, oh, if you accept the lady with a Bible and a present from the church at your doorstep, it's almost like, oh, you can't even trust the nun with a goodwill, you know, or it could be a person in costume. It was very, like, planting very interesting fears into people. I like that where the mom was trying to protect her daughter, now, at the very end, Lee was protecting the new daughter and kind of breaks the cycle. The ending was fun, especially with the whole...
Oh, yeah.
I brought up a really woo-woo thing before with you, where he's singing to the girl, he's singing to the young version of Lee, and he's basically telling you his plan. He's saying, let me in now, otherwise I'm going to come back. And I said to you immediately, I was like, that's a spell. He just cast a spell on everybody, because he comes back, and he does it multiple times. He's been doing this through the decades, and you just think he's being crazy and singing at this poor girl. But he's like, if you don't let me in now, I'm going to come back as many times as I like. And again, in person, that would be really, really unsettling, especially for, I can imagine me as a kid. I'd probably bolt, or just, like, yeah, terrifying.
Yeah.
I like this movie.
No, I liked it too. I liked it a lot.
But yeah, to quickly wrap up my thoughts on Longlegs, I thought this is a really solid horror film. It was one of my favorite films of last year, and is probably going to end up being one of my favorite horror films of the decade. I know the whole satanic horror genre can be played out for a lot of people, but when it's done right, it can work very well. And this really did feel like a throwback to those old school satanic horror films. Again, like Angel
Heart, or Rosemary's Baby, or The Omen, or The Devil Rides Out, or Brotherhood of Satan, or A La Carta. Like, if you liked those movies, I think you would definitely dig Longlegs. But it also has the whole police procedural crime drama element too, very much like Silence of the Lambs, or True Detective, or Cure. Actually, somebody I know, I forgot who it was, but somebody I know said that this movie felt a lot like a really good episode of The X-Files.
This was fun.
No, thank you. Thank you for...
I love it every time. It's fun. So,
Yeah, I guess I end it now.